How you guys doing? So today, as you see in the title, this one is concerning the vitriol that people are having towards this guy, Arian Foster. I don't know much about him because he's not a Falcon, so that's my team. So I don't know much about this guy. But what I have seen is the hate and anger and frustration and the negativity that people are throwing at this man because he expressed his belief. And I find that very interesting. Now, this is the third time I've shot this video because the first time I had a sermon that I ministered to myself earlier this morning is what I spoke in. And I recognize that most people can't handle everything that I said. And it would actually kind of go against, to a certain degree, what I'm going to talk about. And that's the fact that the last Dalai Lama spoke about the fact that if everybody followed the basic tenets of their religion, and each religion, no matter which one it is, have certain tenets that are exactly the same. Love your neighbor and take care of them. Tolerance of your fellow man. And come to the consciousness, come to a Christ consciousness, a Buddha head, consciousness, a Krishna. Come to a level where your consciousness is connected completely with God, right? The comments that this man has received are such that, and the one that was, I'm gonna start with the dumbest one that I heard. One of the dumbest ones, where a gentleman said, "That's why I didn't pick him on my fantasy team." The thing about it is, you didn't pick him on your fantasy team before he ever said what he believed in. You didn't pick him on your fantasy team because he's had injury problems and you don't think he's going to be healthy throughout this year. That's why you didn't pick him on your fantasy team. It had nothing to do with his religion. You don't know the religion of most of the guys on your fantasy team, but yet you picked them. So that was stupid. All right, that was just asinine. I'm sorry, but that was just dumb. But these types of comments, where do they come from? They come from an offense because you maybe have an issue with your own level of faith, maybe, or it comes from the history of your faith. And I'm gonna get back to that one, the history of your faith. Now, some of the other comments was when somebody in his family becomes sick and injured, and then he'll get down and pray to God and ask God for help. You don't know that. You have no idea what this man is going to do. Matter of fact, the few atheists that I do know, and when somebody in their family died, they didn't pray to God or ask God why or anything like that. They just said that's the natural order of things. People live and people die. They were hurt emotionally. They missed them, of course, but, they didn't come to God because of it. Which leads me to another comment that somebody says that God has a way of moving people to him. If I went deep into my beliefs, I can explain that in more detail of how I think that they have a level of correctness in that. But for this level of this life right now, I'm gonna have to say that millions and billions of people have lived and died, and nothing in that current life led them to God. They lived and died atheists. Or how about this one? Millions and billions of people lived as Muslims and never came to Christianity. Millions of Christians have lived and died and never became Buddhists. So, what are you saying? Now, if I went, I could go deep into that one, but I'm not. I can go I can go somewhere, but I'm not. I'm gonna leave that one alone because that goes back into what the first video was like. All right, and I'm not here to challenge your beliefs. Okay, that's the thing. That's tolerance. That's what the Dalai talked about. I'm not here to challenge your beliefs. I have my beliefs. You have your beliefs. All right. Now, there are some things that are just truths. And since people like to say the truth will set you free, let me tell you what truth is. Truth is your own truth. You only really want to hear somebody parrot your own truth, right? The truth, people don't want to hear. People don't want to hear that. There's very few people who are open to hear just the truth. I spoke about history, your own history. All right. Now, I grew up Christian, okay? Baptist, matter of fact. I grew up a Baptist in the South. And when I look at the history of Christianity, and I'm only picking on Christianity right now only because that's my basis, that's my foundation. I'm looking at it from that standpoint. But in that history, and go and research Eusebius, Athanasius, and Irenaeus. All right. Now, Athanasius, who was a bishop from Alexandria, Egypt, of the Orthodox Christianity at the time frame of the Council of Nicaea. Athanasius was warned by a Gnostic that if you go to that in this Council of Nicaea, if a creed is adopted and the Christianity becomes a part of the Roman state, then the Christians that were persecuted by the Romans not more than 10 years ago and less and current, those Christians who was persecuted by the Romans, that if you become part of the state of Rome and the religion of the Roman Empire, that you will soon become the oppressors of Christians, or people who follow the way, because they didn't call it Christianity back then. That was not a name. But you will become oppressors. You will be the oppressor. And not more than 25 years after the Council of Nicaea was solidified and supported by the Roman government, by Constantine came out with another edict that said, if you don't believe exactly what the orthodoxy says, we're going to kill you. And for the next few hundred years, they killed over 50 million fellow believers in the way, who followed the teachings of Christ. They didn't agree with everything. They didn't, they didn't agree with everything that the Orthodox Church taught. And since they didn't agree with them, they even though they still followed the teachings of Yeshua, they killed them. They became the oppressors that they were warned not becoming, not more than 25 years later. 25. I mean, if it could have at least been 100 years or so that the people who said it would have been dead, or who remember the oppression would have been dead. But the people who they still remember the oppressions of their grandfather, their parents, and that sort of thing, and they killed them. So study your history and see that Hitler was a Christian, and study your history and know that the people who came to America and enslaved the African was a Christian. Study your history and know that not more than 50 years ago, the people who were hanging black people, from trees were Christians. So don't oppress somebody else. Don't kill their character. All right, you're just following the history if you do, and if you want to change it, break it. Stop oppressing people. All right. Now, can I talk about how the Islamic people have killed and maimed and did things in the name of religion? Yes. Can I talk about how the Zoroastrians? Can I talk about how pretty much everybody else have killed and maimed in the name of God? Yes, I can. And so I'm not just saying that that's just one group who's done that. Man will do that because man desires control. All right. So leave this man alone, basically. Basically, leave him alone. I believe in God. And if God chooses that he's going to bring Arian Foster, to him in whatever way he chooses, then that's God's prerogative, not yours. It is not for you to decide that. It's just not. And if you are having so much anger and frustration and some of these negative things about this man, and trust me, you don't always have to be raw about it. You can have your basic, like, he just don't know how blessed he is. You don't know if this man is grateful. He may not be grateful to God, but he can be grateful to his parents, his coaches. He can be grateful to his opportunity in life. You don't know how grateful this man is with the status that he has. You have no idea. You don't. So stop saying these little things. And even little things like that is a part of your judgmental non-tolerance. It is not part of your brotherly love. It is not part of love. So just leave the man alone. If you have an opportunity to have a conversation with him and you talk to him and y'all talking about it, don't beat him. Express. And if he chooses not to, just like Jesus did when he came to the people with the legion, and his name shouldn't even be said Jesus, is Yeshua, and that translates to Joshua. But anyhow, when he came to the man with the legion and cast out the swine and the people didn't like it, he just said, deuces, all right, y'all cool. When he went back home to Nazareth and the Nazarenes were like, you Joseph, little boy, we know who you are, he just said deuces. When he was speaking to the young rich ruler, and the young rich ruler just couldn't get it, and left and went away sobbing, he just said deuces. All right. So if somebody don't like what you say or don't believe in what you believe in, but they're still a good person, they're still nice, they're not harming you, hurting you, don't be mean to them. Don't cast them out. Don't demonize them. And if they just simply don't want to be around you, just say deuces. At the end of the day, my greatness is non-negotiable, and neither is yours. So why are you inhibiting yours by having this frustration. Have a great day.